December 1998. 6 NASA astronauts are about to open a new chapter in space exploration. Their mission: to assemble the International Space Station, the first permanently manned satellite to orbit the Earth. Jerry Ross is the spacewalk mission specialist.
When you're starting to lay the cornerstones of something as important as the International Space Station, you're pumping, and you want to get on with the program.
If the other one has a -1, then you've hit the nail on the head.
7 days into the mission, Ross and fellow astronaut Jim Newman are installing thermal protection on the new space station when someone spots something unexpected.
The crew member said, "What's that?" And I'm starting to look around, trying to understand what's that? What are they talking about?
The crew immediately follow NASA's UFO sighting protocol.
The first thing we try to do is to take pictures of what we see so that we have photographic evidence.
Back on Earth, the photographs create an instant sensation in the UFO community. They see a link to a mysterious object from the 1950s, known as the Black Knight. Some people thought it was extraterrestrial in origin, others that it came from closer to home.
The Black Knight goes back to the early years of the space age, and even before. People begin to watch the skies looking for satellites, secret ones.
These so-called dark satellites were unexplained blips that mysteriously appeared on radar. And sometimes ominous black shapes were spotted hovering in the sky. At the time, the Russians accused the US of space espionage, while the US suspected the same.
The Black Knight is just one of many things that we don't have explanations for. Certainly, people don't understand that just because it's ours doesn't mean we tell everybody about it.
Sure, I'll guarantee you.
But Jerry Ross doesn't buy the dark satellite theory. He believes there's a simpler explanation.
Jim was supposed to put a thermal blanket on the outside of the station to protect it from heat losses.
Well, we can start in the basement and work our way up.
I was ahead on my task, so Jim offered to give me the thermal blanket and let me attach it. When somebody said, "What's that floating away?" I looked and I saw this blanket. I looked at the tether where it was supposed to be, and it wasn't there.
Jerry, one of the thermal covers got away from you. How did it do that? I don't believe this.
In this case, it's a story of an oops. Dropping a piece of equipment. It wasn't alien. It was a mistake.
It was a really bad feeling.
The blanket looks black because its reflective surface is facing away from the Earth, out towards the darkness of space. But not every sighting of the Black Knight can be so easily explained.
There were reports in the 50s of strange things in orbit around the Earth. We don't know what they were. They weren't ours as far as we know. We don't think they were Russians either. What does that leave? Who knows?
Bill Young is an Arizona-based astronomer who's taken it as his mission to watch out for near-Earth objects that could pose a danger to us.
In September 2002, Young spots a bright object in orbit around the Earth, which sets off alarms.
This object became very apparent as something unusual, primarily because of its motion. It was moving very fast and moving in a velocity that's very much like the velocity of the Earth.
The mysterious object is more than 60 feet across and orbiting close to the Earth. Young immediately reports the sighting to the authorities.
The first thought is, this is an asteroid.
NASA takes the threat of an asteroid impact very seriously.
Asteroids are kind of important because they might occasionally beat the heck out of the surface of the planet.
Asteroids are traveling at about 30 miles per second. That's an incredible velocity. And when you have an object that has mass, that's a lot of kinetic energy.
It's probably what did in the dinosaurs.
But asteroid J002E3 isn't behaving like an asteroid at all. Most asteroids trace a regular orbit around the Sun within the belt between Mars and Jupiter. But this mysterious object doesn't do that.
This thing goes around the Earth, then it shoots off, it goes several times around the Sun, it comes back.
Concerned, NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory joins other scientists in the investigation. They direct the infrared telescope in Hawaii towards the object for a closer look.
This is the most odd thing we've ever seen. And we pulled up the spectrum, and it was full of paint.
The exotic anomaly has a coating with the same chemical signature as industrial paint.
This object was no natural asteroid. It was unlike anything we'd ever seen before.
It's paint. This can't be an asteroid.
Raising an alarming possibility.
When you think about it, we use spy satellites, and here's this object orbiting the Earth. Why wouldn't an alien culture use spy satellites?
NASA's Jim Oberg doesn't buy that theory. He supports further investigation of the paint evidence. Detailed analysis of the data reveals the entire surface of this 60-foot object is covered in titanium dioxide, a compound that makes paint white. The color of NASA hardware. But if this is a part of a rocket, it's in a very strange place.
The question is, how did it get there?
NASA connects the dots and comes up with a plausible explanation.
Based on the orbit, and based on the fact this object is covered in paint, we're able to calculate backward and determine that this object is the third stage of the Saturn V rocket that carried astronauts Conrad, Bean, and Gordon to the moon on Apollo 12.
NASA concludes that the old rocket booster jettisoned en route to the moon somehow found its way back into Earth's orbit.
They just float away, but you don't worry about it.
NASA closes the case. But for some, the theory seems too convenient.